Percolate on a particular mix of odd and inspiring news headlines in Wendy's Coffee House. Newsmakers with a penchant for the unknown, unexplained, and unusual share their experiences with UFOs, ghost encounters, near-death experiences, and more for your own unique blend of Wendy's Coffee House Curious. And now, here's Wendy.
Man, oh man. The news headlines are fantastic, and there's some good news in there. I decided to troll a little bit longer to find, beyond the UFO, the ET stuff that I look for, and I found one on coffee. Alcohol and coffee, in case you were concerned with all the bad studies. Apparently, University of California, Irvine, has given us some hope because they say people who drank moderate amounts of alcohol or coffee live longer than those who abstained. And, this is even better, people who were overweight in their 70s live longer than normal or underweight people did. Okay, so there you... So anybody who's making you feel guilty about, either of those or all of the above, you can just say, I'm living the good life, okay? Get over it. There you go. And that's your good news for the day. In the meantime, I had an interview recently with John Alexander. Reality Denied is the book. And it has so many, many topics in there that it's hard to, put it down to 1 hour. Okay, well, the even better thing was when I was trying to book the interview with Ron, who I also had an interview with, the Gringo Shaman Ron Wheelock, I had to go to his booker, who's Victoria Alexander, and she's John's wife. Now, on John's website, you will see pictures of all the fantastic things that John has done, chasing the Northern Lights, the Antarctica trip, the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia, Machu Picchu, all these trips he had. We won't call her an accomplice. He had his support system, Victoria Alexander, and she's going to talk with us about some of these experiences and some of the places she's gone. And there's a big event coming up that I've got the guest list in front of me that Victoria knows a lot of these people, the International Remote Viewing Conference. And that is a fantastic event if you're interested about that. Victoria, thanks. I appreciate you taking time out to talk.
Thank you. Oh, that was very nice. You've put everything nicely together.
I tried. Yeah, you've got. It's hard to narrow it down. The thing I like about this though is that you have so many experiences, and just when I was talking about the stuff with Ron, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But it's a fantastic, I think, connection you have because you go behind the scenes while John's doing a lot of this. In terms of,
well, as a scientist, he's observing, but he's like recording. He's taking notes. He's looking at it from that point of view, from the scholar's point of view.
Yes.
Whereas I run forward. I mean, anything's going on. and it's funny. I was talking to friends about it, and I said, the thing is, I'm confident that I have somebody there. Somebody has my coat, right?
Yes.
My money.
Yes.
Everything there. And that's just what you need. So, when I say, look, I'm going to stay here with these people and go into a trance, okay?
Yes.
So I know that come back for me in 2 hours. I know he'll be there. He'll just wait.
Okay, so
just wait until I'm done.
Let's give an example.
That's important.
Victoria, let's give an example because you've got the John of God experience, okay? This is where you are both there, and he's documenting, he's recording, and John of God, Oprah did it, so I'm sure everybody's pretty familiar in one way, shape, or form about that. The deal was you had the up-close and personal, intimate, physical interaction engagement. John's taking notes and documenting. So when you're having this healing experience, even though he's sitting there with the healing experience, you go back to recuperate and recover, which is what they suggest. And he's back going, right. Okay, I'm going to take in more notes. He's on the job.
Yeah. Well, that's right. But the thing with John is he's so removed that he didn't follow all the instructions that John of God gave to everyone.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Right.
Because he says, go back, lay down for 24 hours. Don't see anybody. Don't do anything. So I'm following every rule. So I go right back to the little cottage that we were staying in, and I lay down in the dark, and that's it. John, he's walking around. He went out. He explored the neighborhood. Because all that is important as well.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Between the two of you, you get a much broader view, though, especially when you go into the trance or you have a healing experience right there with everybody else being present, and you're in that intuitive, basically that spirit state of engaging on, I guess, on a finer level. That's the way I can term it. It's just an expanded awareness level.
Well, it really helps to know that, look, there we are in Benin in Africa, and they take us to the ceremony. Some ceremony was taking place outside, and there's the drumming, Wendy, you could really become entranced by the drumming. And so it was we were the only foreigners there. So we sit down, and the people are getting, the women are going around, and they're to the music, to the drumming, and they're going deeper and deeper into trance, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm understanding, and of course they wear just this one piece of cloth, and the cloth is coming off, and somebody's going over and covering them up, and the music is, and all this drumming. So I'm tapping into the drumming, and so it's time to go to leave. Our escort, the tour guide who brought us there, said, okay, now we have to leave. So I'm going, no. I'm not interested in eating. I don't care about food. I'm going to stay. Mm-hmm. You go and come back for me after you have lunch, because I know that John will be there.
Yeah.
That I don't have to worry. Where's my money? They're going to take something from me. I'm going, and also John worries that I might just go off with them somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
I think he's worried about that too, because I get so. I become entranced.
Yeah.
That happened in Mongolia, and actually, he was able to get it on film, and so he was recording it, and you could actually see it happening, and I know it's happening to me, and I'm trying to fight it because, first of all, I know it's being taped, right?
Yes.
And I know that this does not look good at all.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It does not look. This is not what you want.
No. The self-conscious thing.
Yeah. So there's a part of me that's that's saying fighting it, right?
Uh-huh.
And yet I couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop. My body was reacting to the shamans, what he was doing, and there was nothing I could do about it.
Okay,
so I just surrendered. So then what happened is when the ceremony was over, I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay with him. I wanted to stay, and thank goodness, or I wanted to buy everything. I don't know what happened. I wanted to buy everything for some reason.
Oh,
I wanted to buy a drum and the cloth
yes.
and all this stuff. I was totally involved in everything.
Savor the moment.
But thank goodness that John was there, because I knew that I wouldn't have anything to worry about.
Is that the reindeer shaman in Mongolia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was one of them. Yes, and it's really important to have somebody like that with you. It really is, especially for a foreigner, because you hear all these stories. They take you out somewhere, rob you, God knows what, right?
Right. You have to have backup. And you've gone in some places. I think one was South America. You were exploring the churches, and one place you wanted to go was actually in a very a part of town that was highly crime-ridden, and it was lucky you had an armed escort, I think.
Oh yeah, we were in a favela, I think is the word. It's those that they're run by the drug cartel runs them.
Oh boy,
Favelas. They're very poor.
Okay, hang on. Victoria,
Brazil.
we need to take a
Okay.
break. We'll take a quick break. We're going to come back and hear more about that because these are some exotic locations that most of us don't have a chance to access, and your stories are incredible. Coming up next, Victoria Alexander here on Wendy's Coffee House, KCMO Talk Radio. Wendy's Coffee House, KCMO Talk Radio. So if you're standing there at Machu Picchu on the side of the mountain looking over the world, that might be what you would hear. Victoria Alexander traveled with John. This is the book that I did, Reality Denied, the interview I did with John Alexander, firsthand experiences with things that can't happen but did. Well, okay, she was there to document the things that did happen but are supposed to be impossible. The fact that she can go into a trance state, though, gives her another perspective and helps John really in some way, shape, or form validate some of these experiences. So the two of them work together, and that's why I wanted to talk to Victoria more about her experiences and also her experiences with Ron Wheelock, who is the Ayahuasca Shaman. All right, Victoria. All right, we interrupted your story. You're in South America.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I don't usually, do interviews and talk about any of this stuff. I leave it all to John to interpret and to talk about.
Yeah.
So before I go anywhere, I'm always researching what I want to do, because usually when John is speaking he was speaking at a military conference, there's always, they say, what does your wife want to do? Does she want to go shopping? They'll what's the local, touristy things. So, but I'm always looking for, where's the witch doctor? That's what I say. Where, and
Bring it.
Funny, we found out in Brazil that there's two religions. There's Catholicism, and then there's Spiritism. Everyone belongs to a Spiritist church. And so when John and I started to ask around, and they said at the reception, where do you want to go, Victoria? Where's the witch doctors here, or whatever? And then we found out that everybody, they all go. So then it became much easier to find them. So we've been to Brazil maybe 7 or 8 times. Mm-hmm. So I know that I'm looking for the Spiritist churches. So everywhere we go in Brazil, I go online and I try to find the churches. So I knew what area we were going to be in. So I had the name of quite a few of these Spiritist churches. Mm-hmm. So we do have an escort of he was a police escort with the military, and a driver, right?
Yes.
So, and it was very difficult. He said, he wasn't familiar with this area. He didn't know where it was exactly. So I said to him, look, don't worry. We'll just take a taxi. I don't want to inconvenience you, and it's in the evening. You have your family. So he looked at me and says, no taxi is going to take you here. None. Well, they don't go into this area whatsoever. Oh. Mm-hmm. So we knew right away that it was going to be dangerous. And I'm just reading here online during your break. It says, how dangerous are the Brazil's slums? There's now something called slum tourism.
Oh, my.
Have you read about this?
No.
Oh, Madonna was roundly criticized when she was in India, because they take you on tours of the slums.
Wow.
It's called slum tourism. It's terrible. So this says here right on Google, it's unpredictably dangerous areas and remain high risk given the level of violence within them.
Absolutely.
And the severe strain on police resources. Okay, so he has to so they take us. They have to ask everybody where it was, because there's no sign for this for the group.
Yeah,
there's no sign for the church. So it's in the back alley of somebody's house, or I don't know where it was. It was just we went deep into something, and it was 2 rooms. And the thing is, women are on one side and men are on the other side. Mm-hmm. Now it just so happened that the military. A policeman was a Buddhist. So he said, I cannot stay here. I'm going to stay outside for whatever, he didn't want to He didn't want the influence or something.
Okay.
So that's so okay. So now the ceremony. So we were the only two foreigners there, and so there's a little interest. They're looking at us. Something like that, but it's just two of us, so they know it's not like a tour group come in, right?
Yeah.
So the ceremony starts, and then there's a healing ceremony. So the ceremony starts, and I was participating. Then they break, and then there's food and things like that. So the head of it comes over to me and says, of course, I had to get our military friend to explain what he wanted. But they said to me, "Do not leave. They want me to stay." I said, "Oh, okay, all right." So, I'm being inducted. I say, "Okay,
Yay.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm going in." So, that whole thing. Watch me. What do they say in movies? Cover me. I'm going in.
Cover me.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So so out comes everything I have that you're supposed to watch, right?
Yes.
Your bag, your money, the camera, all that stuff. I dump it all over to John. So now I'm totally free. I don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
You know how it is. No matter where you go, you have to watch that bag, right?
You bet. Yes.
The luggage that you carry around with you. You really can't enjoy yourself when you have luggage to carry with you. Okay. So they go into a circle, and they put me in the healing circle, not as the person to be healed. They put me in the healing circle around somebody who's being healed.
Yeah. Yeah. They use you as somebody who's experienced.
Well, they must have. They were all in their trance. They must have recognized because they didn't. I didn't need healing. I was participating in the healing.
Yes.
And I start to sway. It to like my body, like it's unintentional. Like I'm not in. There's no. I'm not doing it. I can't help doing it.
The energy comes through. Absolutely.
I mean, like I'm moving, and I'm. How can I say that? Well, it's just involuntary.
Yeah.
I guess it's just involuntary. And so then I'll get messages. Whoever was the female deity that had been called forth. Yes. I was getting messages from her as it's going around, and she says to me, if you ever need me, just call my name. I thought, oh my goodness, that's fantastic. and these are the things that happen to me. Yeah. They'll just pick me out of the crowd and tell me, come in, and that's happened several times. And that where they've just picked me up and put me in. But I'm also the type of, we're in Africa and there's some religious, some church ceremony going on. All the women are dancing out front. I run right in and dance with them. I mean,
It's like an open line.
And I dress like them. I have all the clothes of everywhere we go. I wear all the clothes. Yes. So, I go right into the whole thing.
I think that's part of it.
That's the only way to do it.
That's part of it. You don't exclude yourself. You don't stand there and go, no. You go, okay, how does this work? Let me be part of it. Okay, hang on. You hear the music. This means we're going to take a break. All right, so Victoria Alexandra, and you can read this. He's included this in Reality Denied, firsthand experiences with things that can't happen but did. Victoria's experiences are also documented in there, too. That one is in The Spirits of Brazil, the chapter 20. So that's why I was so fascinated. And then,
nice.
These are stories that need to be shared, and I'm so glad Victoria does that because it gives a broader perspective on what's going on in these cultures and these other areas of reality that we don't always get to understand or access. All right, so in the next break, we'll talk a little bit more about Victoria's experiences. She also is a movie critic. She does a lot of stuff. And it's all in the background, but not right now, okay? So stick around. Wendy's Coffee House, KCMO Talk Radio. Don't forget, check the links on the blog at Wendy's Coffee House Blogspot. I'm back in a few. Wendy's Coffee House, KCMO Talk Radio. My guest, Victoria Alexander, she's the wife of John Alexander. And this, when you hear these stories, these incredible stories working with the shamans, you can also go and check out the website, John Alexander, johnbalexander.com. And Victoria's there, right there at the Ark of the Covenant, Ethiopia, all right? And she's also in a lot of these other images. She doesn't usually take the front seat, okay? Usually she's like riding shotgun. But today we pushed her out into the front seat because her stories are fantastic too. And I like the fact that you are there having that shamanic experience. And I think that's important because it gives a whole different perspective on some of these cultures. And I think you add a lot to the equation.
Well, I want to thank you, Wendy, because you really your audience should know that you really work to get to have me on, because I was constantly saying no, I don't do this, I don't do that, and you wrote me such a wonderful email. Jeez.
Oh. Well, you wanted
turn it down.
Yeah, you do. So, you do the movie reviews too, and so that's the other aspect that usually you're more front and center on.
Well, I go to the movies every night. I see previews and special screenings, and then I have a movie pass now, so we see I have to see everything. Okay. So that's the way that's going. But what I wanted to tell your listeners is that I don't present myself in any spiritual way. It seems you must know this, Wendy. Remember back, it used to be everybody was looking for a guru, or they were gurus, and then everybody was speaking to the dead. Everyone was a medium, and then everybody had near-death experiences. And now I've noticed that everyone's a shaman. I can't wait to see somebody put real estate shaman,
yes,
or tax shaman, tax preparer shaman.
It's coming
because it's definitely coming. Because anyone they can buy the stuff online, mix it up, and put on some, I don't know, Procol Harum or something, and there they go, right? Stairway to Heaven, and they're shamans.
And
now.
There it is. Yes, all of a sudden.
And there it is. Yeah, and so my path is not as a healer or as a teacher. I like my work with ayahuasca. It's the way that I pay back ayahuasca. So that's why I do what I do for Ron. So that's key, because and then I get to talk to people about ayahuasca on the phone, 2 and 3 times a week, or they email me and I give them a lot of information. So that takes up a lot of my time.
Well, and okay, let's get into that real quick.
Aside from that,
let's get into that, because when you started working with Ron Wheelock, and you guys recommend him, there's a difference. I mean, it's become a fad. I remember talking about it it was 1996 when I first talked with John Perkins about his trip down to South America and doing ayahuasca. And I don't remember if it was the Shuar or one of the groups that he worked with at that point was trying to say, look, Westerners are changing and really disrupting the spirit of the planet. You have to change your dreams. You have to do something different because right now there's a lot of destruction. And that was back in 1996.
Oh, it's huge. In Peru, in Iquitos, which is the capital of ayahuasca, I mean, there are retreats all over. It's huge in Peru, and now in Ecuador and Colombia, they also have lots of retreats there as well. So I spent a lot of years. How do you find it? I mean, it was underground.
Mm-hmm.
So in the year 2000, I finally made a connection. So I started in 2000, and I've been going to several retreats. I've gone through different shamans and different retreats.
Yeah.
And then in Ecuador, we went to one, and then, of course, I go to the Santo Daime churches in Brazil. But then when I met Ron, I liked him at a conference where they had several of the shamans there from the area. and I liked him. So I decided to go with him. So one of the former shamans, I asked him when we went to lunch with him. I said, "Well, who else should I, have a ceremony with?" And he said, "Why don't you stay with the one that you came with? You know, that whole that
dance
thing,
with
remember?
the one who brung you. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, you're right." And I tell everyone who calls too, because they said, "Well, I want to drop in and do one ceremony with Ron." I say, "No. First of all, we don't have drop-ins. There's no such thing as drop, because they're going shaman shopping."
Mm-hmm.
And they want to, well, I drank with this one, I drank with that one, I drank with that one. But what I say is find a shaman that you can relate to, that there's something about him that you like, and then build a relationship with him.
Yeah.
And the relationship with the shaman is very important, because he's your defender, and he's your protector, and he's your guide.
Mm-hmm.
So, just jumping from one retreat to another just so that you could cross them all off your list, as one of these, the bucket items, that's going on. But it has really radicalized Aikidos, because now they're taking the ceremony and they're altering it for Westerners.
Uh-huh.
They used to be real strict, no sex, they've kind of dispelled that a little bit, or women who are on their menstrual cycle. And there's a lot of things that have been sort of eased, because Westerners don't like those things.
Yeah, it's inconvenient.
They don't want to be told that. Yeah, they don't want to be told that. Not that everybody's having sex all over the place, but they just don't want to be told that, a week before and a week after.
Yeah, well, and that
the interesting thing,
the changing the diet too.
And changing of diet, of course.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, why no sex, right?
Yeah.
You know what I say? And this is what they tell me, so I pass it along to everyone I write to. Mother Ayahuasca is a jealous entity. And she wants you all to herself.
Yeah.
She doesn't want your mind or your body moving off in another direction.
Pay attention.
Also,
yes. Pay attention. Yeah.
And another thing, you're so open that whoever comes into I tell people, just protect yourself. When you get home, just, if anybody, irritates you, stay away from them, because you're you're vulnerable to everybody's energy.
Yeah.
Because you're all open. You've been opened up by ayahuasca, so you feel things more intensely.
Well, it changes people.
It changes people. Yeah, it does. And listen, I sort of guide people through it, because all the first timers, and I understand that, because I was a first timer, and I was scared, so I know exactly what. The shamans forget. They forget. After 2,000-3,000, they just say, just take it. That's it. Let it. Just. But I know better that they need direction, and they need to follow a certain ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to go into the ayahuasca. This is what I say. Of course, it's not. You don't have to do this, but you should have intention. What do you want to work on? Because it's all open. Everything in the universe is open to you, and you could just be going off in some, off on another planet. And well, what about my health? I came here to find out about my health, but you didn't come into it with an intention.
Yeah.
So then what happens is you can work through your intentions, and then at a certain point, ayahuasca takes over. The spirit takes over, and she sends you. And she shows you what she wants to.
And we have to take a break, Victoria. We got to
okay.
Yeah. So hang on there. Hang on. We're going to talk, continuing with Victoria Alexander, the ayahuasca, and Ron Wheelock, the interview. I've already got that with him, so you can listen to that in the archives. But I also wanted to ask about the remote viewing conference coming up, and that is like a who's who in that. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. Victoria Alexander, my guest on Wendy's Coffee House. KCMO, Wendy's Talk Radio. Yeah, that's some of the stuff I like. Is that the didgeridoo or the throat singers? Or it's probably a combination of both. Mark, what did you find? My producer, Mark, he's in there.
A little Australian for you.
Ah, so it is a didgeridoo. Oh, man, that stuff is addictive.
Oh, didgeridoo. We lived in Santa Fe. Didgeridoo put me in a trance. I cannot listen to it.
Oh, okay, see, there you go. There, Mark just did it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's supposed to. You know,
Yes.
That's the intention of those deep sounds must affect brainwaves. But I know you said this is our last break, so we have to talk real quickly. So
Okay.
I want to say a few things because you've got me talking now. So that was, that's what happened.
Dive in.
So I write for your listeners can read my reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. They're all there, or Films in Review, which is my main website that I write for. So I wanted to mention that. I wanted to mention that I do counseling, pre-ayahuasca and post-ayahuasca counseling. People seem, that helps because, they want to know everything from what do I wear to, what do I drink. So they want to know every single thing.
Okay.
So I really prepare them for, weeks of preparation.
Yes,
So
yes.
I do that. Those are the other things. Okay, so let's talk about the SSE and the remote viewing conference. This is going to be in Las Vegas.
And there are, I'm looking at the list. Now, Dick Allegri, Jeffrey Mishlove, Eben Alexander, Hal Puthoff, Dean Radin, Ed Dames.
Those are all our friends.
Yeah.
All our friends, right there.
Yes.
You just named the whole clan.
Well, and
the
I ask
cabal
you
is right there.
I ask you about Ingo Swann because you said you had a lot of contact with him, and he was one of the standouts.
Yes, well, we've been close to him up until his death. He traveled cross country with us. He stayed here with us.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed at his place, and when he lived on the Bowery, we knew him very well, and he was a very extraordinary. The artist. So he was very individualistic. Like they just, all their idiosyncratic behavior, it comes to the surface. Mm-hmm. Everyone indulged him because he was such an interesting person.
Well, his work, if you want to see it, American Visionary Art Museum, Ingo Swann's work is there, and he's incredible. His artwork is beautiful.
Oh, yes, it's astonishing. But we didn't know where it all went. We were hoping to. I contacted his sister, who I know, to try to find out what happened to it.
Oh, I can. Okay.
I guess I had.
Off the air. We'll talk. We'll talk. I've got a connection. Okay. All right.
Oh.
Okay. Now, the other people who are there. This one of the things that was also part of this, because it's coming up here soon. The other thing was a tour of Robert Bigelow's facility. This is huge. That's like the fabulous.
For years he was the mysterious Robert Bigelow because he didn't need press. He didn't need to be a media figure. His company is solely owned, so he doesn't have stockholders. He doesn't have a board of directors. So it's all him, and he's kept very secluded. So when he called up and offered John a position, he was starting the National Institute of Discovery, NIDS. That brought us to Las Vegas, of course. And everyone would say, "Oh, Robert," because he was really a mysterious character because he wasn't out presenting himself.
Yeah,
he wasn't in conferences or anything. Well, that seems to have changed now that he's and in a very bold way, I should say. Right? Yes. I mean, that 60 Minutes thing I still got to talk to him about that.
Mm-hmm.
So we would see him very often because they would. So John, the head of the advisory board, would bring in all his friends. So he would bring in Hal Puthoff, and so he would rotate and he'd bring all those people in.
Yeah.
So that's how that. So now that Bob has moved to the aerospace. Right. Which I understand, we haven't been there yet, but it's heavily guarded. Nobody could get. I mean, it's like top security. The fact that he's opening it to this group is very astonishing. it's really amazing,
I don't
and
know.
everybody who's been trying to find him can't believe it's being done. I mean, you can't get him on the phone. There's no email. He doesn't take email. You can't call the office and speak to him, and he does. It's not computer friendly, so.
I thought
this
it was
is a real big get.
When I saw that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is in here. Take a sack lunch. You're gonna go. They're gonna bus you out there. They're not gonna pat you down, but they are gonna require some kind of documentation that says you are who you are.
Well, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
That John just said the foreigners that are coming, coming to the conference, are very upset that they're not being allowed in.
I can imagine.
So John's saying to me, where are we going to take them? Because, for every conference there's that, the tour of something. They take people somewhere.
Yeah. You're in Vegas.
Yeah. So, where they're going to... So John's looking at a gold mine here somewhere. Something interesting. Something not on the strip. Something strange. But it has to meet the other criteria, which is going to see Bob Bigelow's...
Yes.
Compound over there.
Yeah, it kind of has to be on that status. The Skinwalker Ranch is too far away. Yeah, Skinwalker Ranch is Utah.
That's right.
Yeah,
and he sold it anyway. So.
Yes, he did. And there's a movie coming out, though. The guys, the George Knapp, the reporter, investigative reporter who was involved with that, they are now putting the promotion stuff out, and I'm going to blog that here in a few hours that they've got the new movie, a teaser for the movie, The Hunt for the Skinwalker, and that's going to be
really
fascinating.
So, have you had George Knapp on?
No, not yet. No.
Well, John. Well, we're friends with him, but we're good friends with him.
Mm-hmm.
But John sees him, goes to lunch with him all the time. So
he can put a good word for me.
Certainly can for you. Yeah, sure. I wish you were coming to this conference. So
know.
You could have interviewed them all.
I was like, darn it.
And with your persuasion, with your skill at persuasion, which I know about now, you'll get them all. But, I tried to wiggle out. I didn't answer you for 3 weeks.
Thank you. I know. It had to be real. Okay, I understand. Believe me. No, I know how that goes. Well, we got to let you go now. Victoria.
But just when I'm getting started.
Thank you.
Now I'm warmed up.
Thank you. Well, you'll have to come back. You've got so much here with all of your experiences, and I'm looking forward.
I didn't even talk about the Ark of the Covenant.
I know.
Oh, I got to meet the guy that the monk
that guards it. That guards it.
And nobody sees him.
And John didn't see that.
Nope.
Yeah,
nope.
He was already down. He was already free.
I was schmoozing with the security, the guards over there.
Yeah, talk about schmoozing.
Schmoozing. You got to schmooze.
And
right?
then they invited.
Gift.
Once the people there were seeing that you were there, then they all came out and said, "Oh my gosh, she's out."
They came out from underground. I don't know where, but they were all the Muslims came out. The rest of them were looking at the gift shop. We're in the gift shop.
I'll tell you what. If you want to travel, go with Victoria. Okay, she knows how to. Hey, Victoria, we got to get going. Okay. Thank you
so much.
Oh, thank you.
Do we hang up?
Yes, you can go. In the meantime, if you're listening, the International Remote Viewing Association, the conference is coming up June 6th through 10th, and you can check out online, irva.org. Sign up, go. If they haven't booked it up, then you can go to the tour and check out the event with Robert Bigelow. That's just definitely worth going. In the meantime, keep everything in a sense of what is possible, not ruling out the probable. What is possible? And keep your eyes open for something that you don't expect. The surprise. That's what Ingo Swann always said. All right. See ya. Stay curious.